Guys and dolls. Okay, so the video was talking about. So I've been like quite interested in the army all my life because being brought up in Belfast, the army were a big part of my life as a wee boy. Like I say, I used to hold their SLRs, collect badges. Used to give me badges, all different regiments. Used to collect all their badges. Obviously, I've lost them all now, but when my mum was alive, that was my wee hobby, collecting different regiment badges and just talking to the soldiers, and because he had English and Scottish and Welsh, you know what I mean, and even Southern Irish soldiers sometimes, it was, we had all sorts of people, because there was Southern Irish people that were in the British Army, a lot of people don't know that, but there was, and there was a place on the road, the Belfast road to Bangor, called Palace Barracks, big huge barracks. And when you were on the train, on the left hand side of the road, so the barracks was on the right, and on the left hand side was where all the equipment was, all the vehicles, so when you were on the train you could see them all, like I don't know, I was a kid, to me there was hundreds of, they're like tanks, they're called Saracens, the nickname for them is pigs. They look like tanks without the turret and without the track, just big wheels, big four-wheelers, some of them, and then you had the Land Rovers, and then you'd have the hospital ones and all sorts, all different equipment, all in order, all in perfect, and it looked amazing, and as a wee boy, I loved soldiers, playing with soldiers and all the airfix stuff and all that, you know what I mean? So it was something that used to I know how I felt. I can remember feeling, wow, you know what I mean? And I used to look forward to going by this particular part on the way to on our summer holidays. And so the army's always had a very close part of me, and I always pay interest to the army and soldiers and veterans and stuff like that, and so over the years I have heard this and heard that, and things going really wrong, but I always took it to be like just squaddies. Squaddies are always complaining, what I mean? And just standard of food, standard of equipment. When the SLR was taken out of production and they brought in the SA-80, there was big problems with that, you couldn't shoot it if you were left-handed because of the discharge, and it was mostly made of plastic, and bits of plastic, you were finding bits of the gun lying about the streets when they were running across roads and all that, and bringing it up and down and stuff. So there was loads of moaning about that, and but I've got some notes, so I want to run some figures, so I do. So we're going to go on about nuclear armament, our nuclear capability, and what we've got, and what the crack is. You know what I mean? How strong are we? How strong is our army? So, and main battle tanks. We'll start with main battle tanks. So in 1990, we had 1,200 main battle tanks. Okay. In 2023, we have 227. Aircraft. In 2006 we had 998, and in 2023 we have 479. So troop deployment, this is interesting. So in the Falklands War we had 163,000. Okay. In the Gulf War we had 147,600. In the Gulf War 2 we had 112,000. In 2012 we had 100,000. In 2021 we had 82,000. In 2024 we had 72 troops ready for deployment. Now, this is a serious decline in the army, and I've been looking at different things, and and the way the technology's going. But this all started so for example, drones. Drones is a guy sitting in a bunker with an aerial up outside the bunker with a PlayStation control and a VR on his head, over his eyes. So he's looking, it's like he's flying it. He can see down, zoom down. He's got a bird's eye view of everything, and he can fly straight into things. I'm sure you've seen the channels I promoted here, and some of the drone warfare is horrific, you know. And you would think to yourself, why would you need anything else if we have drones? But what you've got to remember was this started declining in 2012, guys, you know. Now, drone warfare is only just came about with the Ukraine and Russia war. Now, yes, we did have drones, and yeah, maybe there was thought of it, but I don't think they would have thought it would have been like this, you know. I think whenever they brought out the jammers for the drones, they thought they had it, and then the Russians brought out the fiber optic. So the Russians put a drum, so they have a rocket underneath. They make everything a wee bit bigger. They use lightweight titanium blades, and they put it's like a big aerosol can with fiber optic wire. And this thing can fly for about 40 mile. You know, just the fiber optic wire coming out the back of it, and it's connected to a controller, you know. And you would think, that's just going to get tangled or get whatever. No, they know to be able to go round in an arc, you know, and no go down but go up. You know, if they're going to go round in circles, they would go up the way, you know, so they're leaving it behind them. You know, they've got it down to a fine art. So we can't say it's to do with the drones or the new way in warfare. We know that Ukraine was a tank war. You know what I mean? There was you know, we wouldn't have sent so many tanks over there, and the Americans wouldn't have sent so many tanks over there if they had thought it was just going to be a drone war. So there's no way anybody can say that. You know, we can see like in 1990 we had 1,200 tanks. In 2023, 227. You know, and you could probably see the decline going down. But listen, I've got a video for you to watch, right? So it's about the nuclear deterrence that we've got, and I want you to understand this is going to be probably one of the most interesting videos you're going to watch today. You know, and you can thank me later on in the live, guys. But yeah, it is very, very interesting. There's not much in this 5-6 minute video that's you're not going to be stopping going what and your jaw hitting the ground. That's one of them videos, you know, it's quite remarkable. So without further ado, let me get it on.
The story begins to make less sense if you examine the claim that Britain has nuclear weapons and a nuclear deterrent in any detail. You may be surprised to learn that Britain does indeed design and manufacture its own nuclear warheads, which is something, but doesn't actually make the missiles that will carry those warheads into action. And in fact, even the claim that Britain manufactures its own nuclear warheads has been challenged. The atomic weapons establishment at Aldermaston, for example, is not wholly British-owned. It is part managed by Lockheed Martin, the US defense company. Regarding the actual nuclear warheads, the gas reservoirs of the warheads are likely produced in the United States and are certainly filled with tritium there. The body shell, which contains the warhead, is purchased from the US, and the guidance system used by Trident is designed and made by the US firm Charles Stark Draper Laboratories. And as I said, we don't actually own the Trident missiles themselves. The missiles are in fact rented. That's right, you didn't mishear me. Britain's nuclear missiles are rented. This term rented or leased has been used by many newspapers and magazines to describe the situation, and I'm not making this up. Most recently, of course, the Financial Times in this article from last week. We don't own the missiles, and we don't even maintain them. The owners do that for us. And who, pray, is the owner of Britain's nuclear missiles? Why, that would be the United States. Even worse, we depend for our ultimate protection on something called continuous at-sea deterrence. One nuclear-armed Royal Navy submarine is always on patrol at any time during the year, ready, if ordered, to launch a full nuclear strike if any nation was foolish enough to try and nuke Britain. That's reassuring, isn't it? Submarines are very hard to find, unlike land-based nuclear weapons silos, so an enemy can't nobble our nukes and would face a strike from the ocean in retaliation. The only fly in the ointment is the fact that the Royal Navy is struggling to provide a continuous at-sea deterrent with its available submarines. And if we are not already vulnerable, we will very soon be so, as the old nuclear-armed boats fall to bits and require longer and longer maintenance and refit programs. I'll return to that in a moment. So let's discuss the question of missile ownership. After all, if the owner of the missiles decides not to rent them to us anymore, the status of our submarines will become academic. The Trident II D5 missile is a 100% US designed and built system constructed by Lockheed Martin. The Royal Navy operates the 4 nuclear missile submarines under the term operationally independent, which actually means operationally dependent on a foreign power for their operation, unlike the other parts of the Navy, the surface fleet and the hunter-killer submarines. Britain relies on the US to provide the missiles and to maintain them. Britain can't carry out any maintenance on the missiles themselves, as they lack the facilities.
So guys, just want to butt in here because there's a lot to take in a short space of time here. There really is, guys. And you know, one of the points I want to make is America. We rely on America for quite a lot, and I don't see any problem with that because we're allies. We've always been allies. You know what I mean? I have friends in America. We have the same interests. You know. There's just too much in common for me to be going, oh, why are we relying on America? We've been relying on America for a wee while, and you know, since the First and Second World War, we've been relying on each other. But for some reason, you've got to understand this. This isn't America's fault. This is the British government's fault, guys, that we are in this situation, because they haven't trained anybody or learnt anything that, you know, or bothered to actually have a look at these sort of things. You know, because of the far left. Because of the left, you know, oh, nuclear disarmament, we can't have nukes, you know what I mean? So we're going to be left really vulnerable because of that as well. There's all sorts of at play, you know what I mean? And the government, as you've seen the last 15, 20 years, have been far more interested in doing our things and changing the demographic of the country to be worrying about any of that. But, you know, there's all sorts of opinions that I have, and this is for educational and entertainment purposes only, you know? It's just my opinion of what I think, you know? And, you know, what I want to say as well, before we go any further, you know, these people, there's people in this country that will be coming out to protest when President Trump comes here. They're on about putting posters up, you know, against Elon Musk and Trump and all that, calling them Nazis and that. And there's a big campaign of hate, you know, and it's being allowed. You know, if I had any hate in my platform, I'd be in big trouble, guys. But yet these people are running about hating like it's going out of fashion. And it's okay. It's okay to hate in Trump. It's okay to hate in JD Vance. It's okay to hate in Elon Musk. It's okay to hate in Tesla. It's okay to hate on the banks that are involved with Israel. But you can't hate nothing else. You know? It's very, very selective who the government are allowing people to hate on, innit? But that's the problem. You see, you got to understand, this is the government's problem. This is their fault. Nobody else's fault. Not the Americans, not the army, not the generals. This is the government's fault. You know, they've failed us. Military, they have failed us this way. You know, there's no two ways about it. You know, my conclusion will cover maybe some more things, but we'll get to that at the end. Let's continue.
And indeed, the British missiles have to be sent every so often to a special facility in the state of Georgia in the US for such maintenance, and if test firings are required, to Florida. All we do is store and maintain the British-built nuclear warheads. Britain currently pays an annual fee of £12 million towards the cost of the US base in Georgia. This system means that unlike the United States or Russia or China, the British have to continually refer to a foreign power for permissions and authorizations and so on in the basic functionality of our nuclear deterrent. It means that Britain is completely beholden to maintain a close relationship with the US, regardless of the real relationship, political, economic or otherwise, or lose our ability to project nuclear power. Of course, commentators always point out that the special relationship is sacrosanct, and the United States would never cut off the missile's support, as that would cause a massive diplomatic crisis of the first order. But surely such a deal or relationship is very much governed by who occupies the Oval Office, rather than who sits in 10 Downing Street. How special is that relationship in reality? The missile lease, governed by a treaty between the United States and Britain, termed the 1958 Mutual Defense Agreement, which was re-ratified between the two nations last November.
Just want to jump in here again, guys. So yeah, the emphasis was put on, and I believe this. I'm not sure when this. What I'm going to do, guys. Obviously, I'm going to put the link in the description, but I'm also going to put the picture of the guy's channel up, because I know some of you don't know how to do the links. Okay, I get that, so don't worry about that. I'm going to put the picture of the guy's channel up, and then just pause your screen and write down what you need to write down, and then you can put it in the search bar, and you'll come onto his channel. You'll see when you come onto his channel, click on his face. Don't go to any videos. You'll see his a round circle with his face in the name. Click on that, and that takes you straight into his channel. So after you've searched, you then click on the icon, it's his face, and then I'll take you straight to his channel, subscribe, and then you can go through his library onto your phone, whatever, you know what I mean, if you've got your phone and your TV connected together. But, you know, the thing is, you know, the relationship between Starmer and Trump is absolutely diabolical. There's no other way to put it. It's really bad, like, you know what I mean, and I can't imagine what's being said behind closed doors. And you know, it's important to think about these things right now. You know, what direction could we go in without the Americans? Because this is just our nuclear capability, you know. There's other security systems, okay, and defense systems out there that are just too much for me to even try and describe to you, you know. But please believe me, you know, whatever you've probably seen in Star Wars and Star Trek, you know, I think we're past all that now. We need other sci-fi shows, because the stuff we've got, you know what I mean, right now that we don't know about is probably right out there, you know what I mean. If we're jumping about with mobile phones and doing videos and doing YouTubes and all the rest of it and FaceTiming each other, what do you think they've got? You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is, you can bet your bottom dollar that America will own or run them systems as well, you know. And yeah, what I'll do as well, I'm going to bring another video to you sometime, but it's about all the most richest companies in the world. Quite interesting to see how many American companies are at the top of that scale, you know. It's quite remarkable. But yeah, basically all I'm saying is, yeah, big deal. It's a big deal about what they're saying with the relationship. You know, it's all about the relationship, you know what I mean? And yeah, we need to try and work out what is our Prime Minister thinking about. What direction is he truly wanting to go in when he's disregarding an ally like America?
Agreements, however, can be broken or ignored, as history has shown us on multiple occasions. This reliance on US technology follows through from the missiles to the submarines themselves. The Vanguard-class ballistic missile submarines were designed during the Cold War and are getting very long in the tooth. There are 4 boats. The oldest, HMS Vanguard, was laid down in 1986 and commissioned in 1993, having now served for 32 years. The newest boat, HMS Vengeance, was commissioned in November 1999, 25 years ago. The planned operational life of the 4 Vanguard-class submarines was 25 years. As I make this video in 2025, all 4 boats were supposed to have been retired by now. In the world of warships and submarines, intensively using boats between 25 and 32 years old is not really a very good idea. In order to carry and launch US Trident II missiles, the boats rely heavily on a series of sophisticated and specialized US-supplied components. In other words, the British designed and built V-boats were built to operate a foreign designed and built weapons system, requiring huge amounts of foreign-designed and maintained equipment being housed on board, equipment the British don't make or maintain themselves. Yes, the British Prime Minister has the ultimate say over whether permission is given to launch nuclear missiles from a V-boat. That at least is not under US control. But an over-reliance on foreign technology is dangerous in a volatile political scene, and gives a foreign power enormous leverage over foreign policy decisions of this country.
Well, that's good to know, I suppose, in a way, you know what I mean? There is a wee bit of sort of, hopefully, he can't just run about and do whatever he wants, surely, you know what I mean? If America's got so much capability of not helping us out if they don't want to, and at the end of the day, this is the government's fault. I'm going to keep saying this, guys. This is what I keep saying to you, I do feel like a stuck record, but it's very easy for a guy that's been in prison, okay, to have a grump about the government, Everybody probably thinks I hate the police and everything and all that, and you couldn't be further from the truth. I've never ever hated a police officer in my life. I've always had respect. It's always been fair cop, you know what I mean? They've always had a job to do, and I was breaking the law, and that's always been like that, And at the end of the day, I understand my words don't mean much, but maybe one day somebody will pick up on these words and understand what's going on, because our governments have let us down so much, guys. This isn't anybody else's fault but the government's fault. These amazing vessels are out of date, 25 years, and I know people are thinking, well, it's like best before date and all that. No, as he explains further on in the clip, it's like a car. After 25 years, a car's beat. Most cars are beat. Why would it be any different for a submarine? You got to understand that everything has a shelf life. Everything. And, it's the government's fault. And the question needs to be asked, where's the money? Why was the money not put in? Why? I understand there's ships, we've got submarines they're making them, but they're not going to be ready till 2030 something. I doubt they'll even be ready in 2030, so you're talking 2040. So you got a couple of brand new submarines with nuclear warheads on them coming in 2040. That makes you sit up a wee bit, doesn't it? So yeah, maybe as we go forward with this video, not long left now, maybe things in your head will start making clear, maybe understanding what's going on right now, and maybe it'll bring some clarification for you that you're not going mad. You're not going mad. Yeah, it's happening. What you think's happening is happening. This is probably why this is happening. Let's get the rest of this done.
What I mentioned about the Prime Minister having the ultimate authority regarding the release of nuclear weapons has also been challenged, including by the House of Commons itself. In 2006, the House of Commons Defence Select Committee concluded that, quote, the only way that Britain is ever likely to use Trident is to give legitimacy to a US nuclear attack by participating in it, end quote. This reliance on US defence equipment is not limited to the Royal Navy, but has spread throughout the British armed services, as successive governments have killed off British-designed and built products and instead bought American ones. Each boat takes its turn to conduct a 3-month submerged patrol to provide continuous at-sea deterrence. During any 3-month period, one boat is on patrol, one is in refit or maintenance, and the other 2 are training or in dock. The Vanguard class were built to replace the Resolution class ballistic missile submarines, designed to carry, wait for it, US-built UGM-27 Polaris missiles. Hilariously, the design specifications for the Vanguard class included the provision that they be armed and equipped with British-designed and built ballistic missiles, but of course that came to nothing, and instead we ended up with Trident IIs. Turning to the issue of continuous at-sea deterrent, we do know that the aging V-boats are requiring more frequent and longer refits and maintenance to stay in service. This, of course, is common sense. These are highly complex but elderly pieces of machinery. Your car goes the same way, after all. In 2023, the oldest boat in the class, HMS Vanguard, was returned to service after a refit lasting 7 years. So between 2016 and 2023, officially only 3 V-boats were doing the work of 4. That must have meant that each patrol was extended from 3 to 4 months, adding enormous strain to crews running submerged for such long periods of time. Currently, HMS Victorious, the second boat in the class, is also in long-term refit from 2023 for at least 3 to 4 years, perhaps longer. HMS Vengeance, the fourth boat, entered a long overhaul period and reactor refueling between March 2012 and February 2016. All this means that the Royal Navy only has 3 V-boats in operation at any one time, not 4 as advertised, with one always out of service in refit at any one time. We can probably also surmise that of the remaining 3, at least one must have had some kind of fault or maintenance issue during these periods that probably left only 2 operational. Or these elderly boats are in fact going to sea with serious maintenance issues or dangerous faults, simply because the continuous at-sea deterrent has to be maintained somehow.
Simply because the government have failed us. That's the only thing I can take from this, guys. I'm going to wrap it up there with that video. So I'm going to stick the guy's profile up there for you. So hit pause, and you can write it down. So yeah, and the link will be in the description, guys. If you just want to hit the link, it'll take you straight to the video. Watch the video, like, subscribe, and enjoy the rest of his content. Quite good stuff there, if you're in that kind of thing. So, yeah, on a whole, it's pretty damning for the governments that have been leading us lately, for the last 20 odd years at least. Everything seemed to go wrong after Maggie Thatcher. You know what I mean? And I'm not blaming Maggie Thatcher. Maggie Thatcher was the Iron Lady, didn't agree with everything she did, but, I understand some of the things she did that a lot of people don't agree with, but, yeah. And then Tony Blair, and like, so, where's the money? Where's the money, honey? It's like, why would we let this happen? We're putting our men at risk out in them seas right now. It's only a matter of time before there's another disaster like the one in Russia. When they went down to the bottom of the sea and the Russians wouldn't let us get them out because they didn't want us getting into the sub and getting our tech. And only, I think it was 109 men perished. Don't quote me on that, it was quite a few men. The Kursk, I think it was called. The Kursk, the submarine, the Kursk. So yeah. Is that what we're heading to? Another disaster like that, in the depths of somewhere where we can't get a submersible down to rescue them, And on top of that, guys, Type 23 frigates. We're losing HMS Argyle, HMS Lancaster, HMS Iron Duke, and HMS Mammoth. Early retirement. So it's like, it's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating, so it is. So you've got to ask yourself, what is going on? Why do America have control of our nukes, and why is everything in such a bad way? Why is our army being totally depleted? And it would lead you to think that maybe it's being done on purpose. Maybe some people would say that we are being replaced, and those people would also say that, if in 30, 40, 50 year time, like Nigel Farage says, we are in trouble, we're in trouble, then it would make sense, wouldn't it? That would make sense to me, because you wouldn't want to hand over a country fully armed and stocked to cause a lot of damage. But that's all fair and well, if that's true. Asking simple questions surely should come with simple answers, and it's all fair and well if the case is that Britain is being disarmed because of the changes demographically, and people have worked out in 50 years' time this place is going to look very, very different. And when I say this place, you got to understand, this is why I say the union will break up. Because this is Westminster, this is London, this is England. They have the Home Office, they have everything down there. So we would have no option. Scotland would have no option to break up. Northern Ireland would have no option. Can you understand why I'm saying about a united Ireland? Logically, it's unavoidable. And that's if the process keeps going the way it's going and nothing changes. And the last point I want to make, guys, is the most important part of this. For whatever reason, whether it's because we spent all our money on other things, like billions a month on people coming into the country, or whether it's because the rest of the world, like America, want to protect the rest of the world in case later on Nigel Farage is right and we're in trouble. Because if we're in trouble, that means the rest of the world's in trouble. Because why would we be in trouble, Nigel? So that doesn't help my lucky, There's nothing in this video that helps my lucky. And the same people that let me down in the 70s and the 80s are now letting my lucky down in 2025. The Labour Party. And it's so blatantly obviously now there's nothing else but the Labour Party have got to go. And they know that. Everybody knows that. Like I say, dogs in the street are talking about it. Labour Party are finished. I've said this from the very start of my videos. Labour will not get into power for a very, very long time. And I've said that from the very start of my videos, guys. You know that. Labour will never get into power. I've made that clear. And I've never said like Labour will lose the next election. I said Labour will never be in the power again. And I stand by that. And that's why we've got reform. So guys, it's one of them videos. Sorry it's a wee bit longer than I may be expected to do, but you know me, it's quite concerning. We used to be quite a big, strong, scary country. Everybody listened to Britain. That's what I'm used to. The Gulf, the Falklands. World War One and Two. Battle of the Somme and all that. People, Yves. Ulstermen, Scotsmen, and Englishmen. Going over the trenches into the machine guns of the Germans. Our great grandfathers, our grandfathers. Our grannies, all involved in that, really brave men. Maybe that's what's happened. Maybe Great Britain went with the great men and women of the First and Second World War. I'm Freedom Dad. God bless every one of you.